So today we are going to discuss some basic concepts relevant to the web development. So my name is Jenny Kishara. So along with me another lecturer is there. So I'm serving as a senior lecturer attached to the Faculty of Computing. So along with me, Miss Poorna Panduwawala will be joining in a little while. That is again, she is also working with me under the Faculty of Computing as an assistant lecturer. So mainly today we are going to discuss the web development concepts, but I think within this you all have learned several. Earlier you all had a session as well. So apart from this web development fundamental, you all have some more sessions. So I will briefly go through those as well. So these are some of my information. So if you all want to reach me to do any clarifications, you all can reach out me through this given email. And this is the details relevant to Miss Poorna. So like I said, Lama, you all have already learned some concepts last time also. So now we are starting the web development basics today. So under the web development basics, I'm going to do 2 sessions. In this session, we are going to discuss the HTML concepts along with the CSS. And then next session, that means on next week, we will be doing another session that is to do the JavaScript along with the PHP. So in the PHP one, we are mainly targeting to come up with a web page and then to deal with the backend part of the web page to mainly deal with the database. So that part we will be doing on next week. Apart from those, you all will be having these different sessions also. So like low code, no code programming, and then introduction to AI and machine learning, and then basic electronics and Arduino programming, and then introduction to robotics, and then rapid mechanical prototyping with 3D printing. Likewise, these different interesting sessions will be also conducted in the upcoming sessions. But like I told you, we will be doing 2 sessions for the web development since we can't cover up all the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP in one session, right? Okay, so this is what we are going to discuss today under the HTML part. Mainly, we will be first of all going to discuss what is a website, and then we'll see how we can build up a web page by using the basic content that we have. And then to do that, we are using HTML as the programming language here, so or else as a scripting language here. So first we'll learn the basics of HTML. So here what we are going to do is we are going to use Notepad as the editor. So then in Notepad editor, you have to code everything. That means from the scratch, you have to do the entire code. So if you use any IDE, most of the things will be available now. So then to learn the content more like in a more well manner, we will be using HTML in the Notepad as the editor. So if you want, you can use Notepad or else you can use Notepad++. So while we do the session, we will do some more examples and then some exercises. So along with me, all also can try it out. And after we are done with the HTML part, we will be moving to CSS. So CSS we are mainly using to add some styles or to decorate the web pages that we are creating. So we'll see how those are connected, how we can include CSS in HTML page. There are different ways that we have. So all those things we will be discussing in a little while, right? So time to time, at any time, if you have any issues, you can inform us so that we can clarify the issues then and there so that you all can easily discuss, right? Okay, Ramay. So first we'll start with the HTML part. Okay, Lamai. So to start with, we are going to first of all discuss what is a website. So, since you all are using the internet and you all are using the web browsers to find out any information, I think all of you have used websites and web applications, right? So, the basic idea or the simple idea of a website is it can be say as a collection of relevant web pages. That means, Nama, if you think about a website, it is not just one page. You have multiple web pages. So multiple web pages connected together. That is what we can say as a website, right? So sometimes you all are dealing with websites, or else sometimes you all are dealing with web applications. So we'll discuss about those in detail while we do the remaining sessions. So in order to come up with a web page, now we know a collection of web pages can be referred as a website or web application. So in order to build up one web page, we can mainly depend on multiple technologies, right? So first we are discussing HTML, and then we are discussing CSS. So HTML mainly we are using in order to create the basic structure. So by using HTML, we will just create the basic structure of the page, like what are the content that should be included within the web page. That is what we will be doing by using the HTML. And by using this second one, which is CSS, what we are going to do is we are going to add some different styles to the web page that we are creating by using the HTML, right? So that means adding some styles, that like colors, or else giving different let's say changing the font size, or else let's say changing the background, or else giving different animation effects. Those kind of things we can do by using the CSS. So those are the things we are going to cover today. But in order to come up with an entire web page, you need the help of the JavaScript as well as PHP, right? So we'll discuss about those when we do the next session. So to start with, like I said, I'm going to start with HTML. So if you think about the HTML, that is kind of the building block of the web page. We can say that HTML is the basic type or structure that we are using to create a web page. And in HTML, we have something called as tags. So always we will be dealing with the tags in HTML. So that means in order to create a HTML code segment, we will be mainly dealing with some different tags. So tag in the sense here, we will discuss what are the main tags we are using. So we will be using this notation to denote the opening tag, and then in order to denote the closing tag, we will be using this kind of a notation. So, and if you think about the tags, there are some tags which need both opening and closing tags. That means that there are some tags, or most of the tags in HTML require opening and closing tags. And there are some tags which doesn't require two tag pairs. Just one tag is enough to do the work. We'll discuss about those different types also. So if you think about HTML tag, that is also known as a HTML element. So tag or element both are referring to the same thing, right? Sometimes we say HTML element, sometimes we say HTML tag, but both are referring to the same content, right? Okay. So to start with, Lama, we will first of all see the basic structure of the HTML tags, or the basic tags that we are using in order to build up a web page. So first of all, Lama, can you all let me know if you have any issues up to the content that we have discussed. Still, we didn't discuss much, but if you have any issues, just let me know. I think the recording will be given to you, Lamai. Any other questions? Okay, Lama. So we'll start the content, then we will do some examples also. Then, along with the examples, we'll clarify any issues that you get because actually still we didn't start the content. No? So then once we start, you will face some issues while you try to come up with the output. So we'll see what we can do in those situations. So if you think about the HTML tags, the main tags that we are using here is given. So the root element, now I told you tag go, the element both are referring to the same thing. No? So here the very first tag, which is the HTML, that is the known as the root element. So if you think about the very first line given here, that is this doc type HTML, that is mainly telling us what is the version of this HTML. So in order to execute a HTML code or in order to create HTML code, always you don't have to include this. Early it was required, that was a must, but now it is not a must. If you want, you can include that line. If you want, you can do the things without including that line as well. You can still get the expected same output, right? And then after that, the starting point of the HTML code is this HTML tag, which is also known as the root element. So we have to open the HTML tag and we have to have the closing HTML tag. So from here to here, we have this entire HTML code. And within that opening and closing HTML tags, we can include the content that we want to display within the web page, right? So when you say the content, Lamai, the content mainly we will be including within the body section. So that is given within the opening and closing body tag, right? So the content, that means if you want to show an image, paragraph, heading, any content that you want to show within the web page, we will be including them within the body tag, opening and closing body tag. And if you want to give an information about the web page, that we can include within the head section, right? Any information about the web page, we can include within the head section. Again, opening and closing, both tags should be there. And the actual content that you want to show within the web page, you can include within the body section, right? So now, Lama, we'll go through a simple example and then we'll understand how we are going to do it. And then we'll type this one and see. Then I think that's easier for us to understand, right? So here, what I have done in this small example is, here I have just included the head section and the body section, right? So if you think about the head section, as I told you earlier, we will be giving the information about this web page within the head section. Information about the web page, right? So for an example, I have given one tag here, which is known as the title. So the title will be used to tell the title of this web page, right? I will show you where we can see this output. So here I have given the title as first page. We will type it and see in a little while. And then within the body section, as I told you, we will be actually giving the content that we want to type or that we want to show. So here they have given H1 and this paragraph, right? So H1 is used to show a heading in this HTML. And H1 is having the largest heading font. And like that, we have H2, H3 likewise. I will show you the differences in a little while. And in the next one, this P tag is standing for the paragraph, right? So we will type those and then we'll see whether we can actually get this output or whether we can actually get out, right? So to start with, first of all, we'll think about this simple example and then we'll move to the next slide, right? Okay. Meanwhile, if you have any issues up to the things that we have discussed, you can ask. Okay, so now Lamai, I am using this text editor, which is this Notepad plus plus. So if you want, you can do the same thing using Notepad as well. Notepad or Notepad plus plus. There are different IDs that you can use to because those are supporting this HTML. But like I told you in the beginning, Lamai, what I'm going to do is, if you use a Notepad or Notepad plus plus like editor, we have to do everything on our own. So we have to type the entire content from the scratch so that easily we can learn from here. Otherwise, if you use IDE, there the most of the content will be automatically filled, so you have to just type some different parts. So you can't learn the basics, right? Okay, so we will use that example. First of all, I will type the root element. I told you the root element is HTML, right? So I have the opening tag and then I have the closing tag. And after that, within that, I include the head section. So head section, again the opening tag and then the closing tag. And after that, I will include the body section. And again, the opening and closing tag should be there. Right? Okay. Now, Lamai, okay, I'll do something like this. Now, you all also can type this one with me so that easily we can do the work together and check what are the issues that we can get as well. Right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to save this file. First of all, I'm typing this, the basic structure, and then I'm going to save this one now. So how we have to save is this. You have here you can use save button, or else you can go to the file, and from file option save as option, right? File save as. So from there, you can select the relevant location that you want to include, right? That means you can find out or you can go to the required location that you want to save this file. So to that location, you can include or you can save this file without any issues. So now let's say I will give one location here. Let's say I'm going to give this as my location, and then I will say the name is page, right? So always remember, Lamai, any HTML file you can save by using a name. Along with the name, you have to use .html extension. Any name you can give, it can be your name or it can be ABC or whatever the name you can use. So I have used page 1 here. And after that name, you have to use dot operator, and then you can use dot, after that dot operator, you can use HTML, right? So once you save it, Lamai, what you need to do is you need to go to the place that you have saved that, right? Once you save that, you need to access the specific location that you have saved that, right? So for an example, this is the location that I have saved it. So when I visit that location, right, at the moment I have another folder. For the time being, don't think about that folder. So this is the name that I gave for that HTML file, page 1, right? You can see this kind of a icon is appearing, like here in this scenario, this is Edge browser's icon. Sometimes in your scenario, there that can be the Firefox item or as Google Chrome item, right? Any web browser icon can be appeared. So what you need to do is, if you want to observe the output, you need to double click on that icon. So once you double click on that icon, you can see the web page is open, and then the content will be appeared, right? But in my scenario, Lamai, the content is not there. The reason is I didn't include anything yet, right? I have just created the basic structure and I saved it. That's all, right? So in your scenario also, that will be the same situation, right? Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is I will be adding a title. Earlier, if you can remember, the title was there. No? So within the head section, we are adding the title. I told you this head section is used to give some information about the web page, right? So I will say the title is, for an example, introduction, right? Any title you can give, I will say introduction, right? Now, Lamai, once you do a modification, you can simply press on this save button, or you can go to the options and you can click on save, right? But in order to observe the output again, you have to reload this page. You have to go to the relevant page that you have opened and you have to reload the page. So when I reload this page, at the moment, we can't see anything within this page, but this title, we gave the title as introduction, right? So that title is appearing here on the tab. Can you all see? If you just do it with me, you also will be seeing the same kind of output. So whatever the title that you have typed, you can see it in the tab, or as the text on top of the tab, which is appearing, you can see the title, right? Still, we can't see anything within this body of the web page. Okay, so if you have any questions, meanwhile, while we do, please ask Lamai. After that, we will use that same example. I will type this heading and paragraph. So I will use H1 heading, and I will say this is heading 1. Right. And I will include a paragraph. Let's say paragraph 1 for the time being. Right. And after that, okay, first of all, we'll save this, and then we'll just reload the page and see whether we can see any content. So you can see the content is appearing like this, right? So which is heading 1 is appearing in a length like a very large font, and then the paragraph is appearing in a very small font, and the heading is in the bold letter as well, right? Now we'll do a small change, right? I will write H3 for the time being, right? And then we'll say this is heading 3. And then we'll close the H3. Now we'll save this and we'll see whether there are any differences we can see. So can you see in this output, Lamai? Heading 1 is appearing in a very large font and it is in a bold letters, and then paragraph is in normal letters. But the heading 3, again, it's a heading, but the font size, you can see it's somewhat smaller than this H1. Likewise, if you think about H2, H2 is smaller than H1 heading, and H3 heading is smaller than H2 heading. Likewise, the font size is decreasing in the H1 to when you decrease the values, right? Okay, so you all also can type this one with me, Nama. So if you have any issues while you type, please let me know. Any issues if you have, you can ask. And there's a question, how can we join to the other workshops? Like each week there will be different workshops, so you all will be notified. So then with those, you all can join to the relevant sessions, right? Okay. So with that, we can move forward. So like that, Lama, you all can try out different scenarios or different situations. Now, let's say I include something like this. Now, let's say I want to include another paragraph. Right. So to that paragraph, let's say I'm adding paragraph 2 as the text, right? So now if I save the content and if I try to reload the page to see the output, you can see this kind of output, right? And let's say I want to give a normal paragraph, but then the text or the letters in that paragraph I want to give in bold letters, or else I want to make them as bold. So if that is the case, you have to tell that the content of this paragraph should be given as bold, right? So there we are using a tag, so we can we will discuss that how we can do that. So remember, that is also possible. It is not the case that always that the headings are having the bold letters. If you want, you can give bold letters to the paragraphs as well. That is also possible, right? Likewise, we can follow different contents. So I will first of all make this one as bold, then you can see whether there's a difference or not actually. So within the paragraph, I have used B opening tag, and then I will be using the closing tag of this bold. B stands here for bold, right? So you can see now it's changed. Now earlier paragraph text was like this. Now you can see it's appearing in the bold letters, right? Okay. Any questions up to that point, Lamai? If you have, you all can ask. So time to time we'll do some examples, and I have created some activities also. So we'll do those as well. Then we can easily see how we can come up with the answers, right? Okay. Then with that, I will complete this part also. If you can remember, Lama, I told you that uh, most of the tags in HTML require two tag pairs, like opening tag and a closing tag. Like given here, head opening tag, and this is the closing tag, right? Normally, this is opening tag, and here we have the closing tag. So normally, that's the scenario for most of the tags, right? But there are some situations where having some tags that is normally those are known as empty elements or empty tags, which doesn't require any closing tag. For an example, HR tag, BR tag, likewise, those kind of tags are there. Those kind of tags doesn't require two tag pairs. For an example, now H1, if you can remember, H1 we type it like this, whatever the content we type, and then we close it, right? That's what we did. But if you think about this HR tag that is used for horizontal line, we'll use it in a little while. And this BR tag, which we are using for the line break, those kind of tags are known as empty tags. They don't need two tag pairs. Just if I want to give a line break, just BR tag. And then I can type the content. I don't have to use another tag pair, right? Like this, like that, there are some tags as well. So those are known as the empty tags or empty elements. So, okay, and before we move to that slide, we'll see some examples, or we'll do some examples, Naman. Right. Here we can see I have just created this so that we can discuss different situations or different scenarios with the content that we have learned, right? So like I told you earlier, time to time, if you have any issues, please ask so that we can clarify the issues then and there before we move forward so that you can get the correct idea, right? Okay. So any issues that you have up to now? Do you all need more time to do this work, or any issues? If you have, please ask. Now we'll do this. Okay, now we'll do this one together, Lamai. First of all, we need to create a web page with the name page1.html. So I have already created the web page now. So I have named it as page1 as well. So I will use that itself, right? And then the next exercise we will be doing is we have to add a heading called as Welcome to Web Development by using the largest heading type, and we have to include a horizontal line after that, right? Okay, before that, I will do this one as well. I couldn't do it. To this page 1 HTML, they say change the background color of the entire body to pink. So how can we do that now? The body tag is there and the content is there. So what they ask us to do is to change the entire background of this body into pink. So if you want to do such change to this entire body tag or the body content, so to denote the background color, we have attribute called as BG color, right? So we can say the BG color should be within the double quotes, we can give the type or the value which is pink in this scenario, right? Again, you have to go to the opening tag and then keep a space, and then you have to give the attribute equals, and then within the double quotes, you have to give the value, right? So after that, you can just reload the page. You should be able to see the entire body content in the pink color, or whatever the color you can give, Lama. Green or whatever the color that you like, you can give. Here I have just created this as pink, right? Next, we are going to have a heading or include a heading. It should say welcome to web development, right? So we have to give it in the largest heading type. So anyone can you all tell me what is the largest heading? Is it H1 or H2 or H5? What is the largest one? We discuss. So what should I type here? The content is welcome to web development. That is, yeah. Okay, very good. I got the answer. That is H1. So within H1, we can say welcome to web development, right? And you can save the content, Lamai. After that, you can reload the page so that you will be seeing this kind of output. Right? So this is how we got it. We just gave H1 is welcome to web development. So that is one part. The next part of this same one is we have to include a horizontal line after that heading. So how can you do that? Earlier I told you there are two empty elements. We discussed about two empty elements. No? So there I told you HR is used to do give a horizontal line. So which means Lamai, after this heading, if I want to give a horizontal line, I have to just use HR to represent horizontal line. If you do that and if you reload the page, I'm not very sure whether you can see it. You should be able to see here. This is where we have the horizontal line, right? Okay. So we have included a heading and then we have included a horizontal line. Okay, not only that, Lamai, they have another requirement here. The heading should be aligned to center. Because at the moment you can see the heading is aligned to the left. So they say the heading should be aligned to center. So if you want to align any specific content to center, so by using the align attribute, we can do. By using the CSS, we can do this very easily now. And now still we didn't learn the CSS part now. So therefore, by using the available properties, available attributes in this HTML, we are doing these modifications. Later, we'll do it by using the CSS, right? Now I'm saying I want to align. align is the attribute I'm using, and I want to align this to center. Okay, we'll see what kind of output we can get. Okay, we will be getting this kind of output, right? Or else now you can follow another thing, another way. So I will just, after the horizontal line, I will include the H3 for the time being. It's not there in that example. I will include another one. Let's say, um, we'll say activity 2 is the content, and I will close the H3 and I will save it. And at the moment, I can see this kind of output after the horizontal line. If I want to align this one into center, now earlier what I did was I have used a specific attribute within the opening tag here, that is the line, and then I have told to align the content of this H1 to center. Now what I have done is, again, any content we can do like this, but then I have used another approach, that is after the opening tag of this H3, I have included another tag, center, opening tag of the center tag, and I have given the content and I have included the closing tag of the center tag, right? That's also possible. Now still you will be getting the same output. So there are different ways that you can do this same scenario, same operation, right? Okay. Now you know how to do the content or how to include the paragraphs. So after you do that, can you all include a paragraph and include this? We will learn the basics text. So include that paragraph. And meanwhile, while you try it out, if you have any issues, please ask. Okay, Ramesh. So I will add that. I think you have done that. So what we need to do is we want to add a simple text as a paragraph. So it should tell we will learn the basics, right? Okay, we'll see how we can do it. So you all know that is P tag, which is denoting the paragraph. So always remember as a practice, when you give the opening tag, there itself give the closing tag also. Then it will be easier for you, right? Otherwise, later sometimes when you type, you can forget it as well, no? So if you do it like this, you won't forget it, right? Always when you have the opening tag, then and there have the closing tag as well, right? Okay. So now we will include the text, that is, we will learn the basics, right? Now, if you save the content and if you reload the page, you can see the content. Now you can see, Lamai, the headings are aligned to the center. Why? Because we have aligned them into the center by using the attributes and the tags. But now here the normal alignment is left. So that's why you can see the we will learn the basics, that text in the left alignment, right? So now we have done some examples relevant to the headings as well as the paragraphs. And okay, so now it says include a heading. So we have to include this heading. This is a heading with H2 type. So we'll include that also. So H2 headings, you all know how you have to include. Within the body tags, you have to use H2 opening tag. And then we need to include the H2 closing tag as well. And in between, we can include the relevant content. So the content means in this scenario, it should say this is the heading with H2 type. So we will type it. And you can just save it. After that, you can reload the page. So this is what we can see as the output. So now, Lamai, we'll move to the next part. Okay. Now, first of all, we have to include, include these two paragraphs, Lamai. Now, you know how to include a paragraph. Include these two paragraphs. We have to include one paragraph with line 1. So, you have to include a paragraph. One. Now, the first thing we'll include a paragraph, and then the line 1 should be included in bold letters. The content of the paragraph 2 should be included in the italic letters. Okay, we'll do that. First, type the paragraphs. Okay, line 1 content I have included in bold letters here, right? Which is the content is line 1. Paragraph 1, the content is line 1. I have included it in bold letters. Now, the second paragraph should have the content as line 2. So that line 2 I will be including first. So if I include this line 2 like this, and if I reload the page, you should be able to see a normal paragraph. So if I add, now they ask us to come up with the italic letters, so then I will be using the I tag. So in the HTML, so here also today we are just learning or using like very few tags. But apart from those few tags, there are so many tags that you have for different purposes. You all can use them, right? Now, for the time being, I'm just using this italic tag, right? That's so we will see the output of that tag. So you can see, if you observe carefully, you can see that the line 2 means the content of the second paragraph. So that is appearing in italic letters, right? Okay. Any questions up to that point, Lamai? If you have any issues, please ask, because then you can clarify the issues and we can move forward, no? Right. Now, Lamai, before we move to the next part, so next I think, okay, we are going to deal with the image now. So before I move to that, I will include another paragraph, right? Opening tag and then closing tag. And in between, I will say any example you can, I'll say this is web development, right? Okay. So if I just type this content, you will, now you know what will happen, just a normal paragraph content will be appearing like this web development tab, right? Okay, we'll do something like this now. We'll do a small change like this. Okay, just add this U tag lamai there, because I told you there are so many tags now, so we don't have enough time to use all the tags. But we can try out some tags and we can see what kind of output we can see. Now, can you see the output, the difference? U tag is used to underline a specific content. So the web development, the paragraph content, which is underlined, right? And okay, now you all know when we include the dates, we use the term TH, right? TH or whatever now let's say today is 22nd. So ND I have to use, right? So I will type that here. We will see what will happen. I will include another paragraph. And I will say today is, I want to say 22nd, right? So 22 I will type. This ND should be appearing as a superscript that you know, right? So if I save this, I will be seeing the output like this. Today is 22nd, right? Here you can see. But normally when you write the date lamai, you should get this ND, OTH, or whatever that part as a superscript. So how can you do that? For that also there are different tags available. So for the location that you want to apply this, what you can do is you can use the opening tag of the superscript, that is SUP, and then after that relevant letters you can use the closing tag of the superscript, right? So if you observe the output, you should be able, now you can see it's appearing as a superscript, right? Likewise, there are different options, there are different operations that you can do by using HTML, right? Okay, so we were dealing with the text so far. So therefore, I'm going to check whether we can deal with the image now. So we can include images, we can include the different, let's say, list, tables, those are, all those things are possible, right? So we'll see how we can include those. First of all, I'll include an image. So for the time being, let's say I will remove some of the content from here. Now I want to include this, let's say a small image here. I have already downloaded the image Lamai. So the image is appearing here in the same location where I have the HTML file. Within this images file, I have given that, right? So now I'm going to check whether I can use that image within this page. So in order to include any image Lamai, one thing you need to first check is what is the name of the image and what is the type of the image. So the name here is user and the type is, that is a PNG file, right? So we'll see how we can include it. So to the specific location, what you have to do is you have to use, so I will use a HR tag here to give a horizontal line. After that, I will include the image. So I have to use IMG tag, right? So within the IMG tag, first you have to give the source. That means where we can find the specific image, right? So now the HTML file and the image, okay, I will do, first of all, I will do it like this. I will take out this image and I will just include it here. Now the page or the HTML file and the image is in the same location, right? It's not within the folder, it's in the same location. So therefore, what I'm going to do here is I will be giving the source as user.png, right? And apart from that, Lamai, I will give if now in any scenario, okay, I will first of all check whether this is working, right? Okay, you can see the page is filled with this image, right? So then how can we reduce the size of this image? There are different ways that we can follow. So one thing we can do is we can set the height and the width. So I will say the height of the image, let's say it is 250, 200, and then width also will change. And we will save the content. So now if you reload the page, you can see this kind of output, right? Still, if you want, you can change the number, it's possible. The size you can change. And another thing, now if I just like go through this image, nothing, and the cursor is just appearing, nothing is displayed, any information relevant to the image is not displayed. So if you want to display a specific information relevant to this image, you can give a title. So within that title, let's say I will give a name here. I will say Amal is the name. Right? So if you save the content after you give this title, and if you like go through this image or you take the cursor over this image, you can see the term Amal is appearing. Right? So whatever that relevant title that you have given, you can see when once you or whenever you try to go through this relevant image. Right? After that, Lamai, I'm going to do a small change. Right? I will okay, this image now I'm going to include within this folder. Right? Okay, now you can see within the location where I have this HTML file, I can't find this relevant image. So now I will reload this page. Now can you see the title is appearing, but then this content is not there. So if the image cannot be loaded at any specific time, we can give a alternative text by using ALT. When the image cannot be loaded, this text will be displayed. The text I'm giving here as user, let's say for an example. So that content that you type as the alter will be displayed. So you can see now user is appearing like that. Why the image is not displayed now? Earlier it was displayed, now why we can't see that? Because within the location where we have the file, the image is not there. You can see that. Earlier it was there, but this file or the image is there within the images folder. So if that is the case, you have to give the source like that. You have to say to go to the images folder, and within the images folder access the user.png. Then within this location, you can see the image without any issues. So if the image and the HTML file is in the same location, you can just give the file name. But if those are in two different locations, you have to give the entire path to that relevant image and then the relevant use the file name. Right? Okay. Any questions from the things that we have discussed? If you have any questions, you can ask Lamai. Okay. Now we'll move forward. So then the image is also done. Now we have the forms. So we'll complete the remaining part of the slide. Okay. Images we can include as background images as well, Namai. We'll do those kind of examples. Maybe we'll do it with the CSS part, or we can do with HTML also. But we'll do those later. So for the timing, what we are going to do is we are going to discuss another important topic relevant to the HTML. So, okay, here we have some characteristics of HTML, mainly those are case sensitive and user friendly. And we are using simple language so that anyone can easily understand and it is easier for us to use. Now, Lamai, I told you earlier that we can, we are going to discuss another important one here. No? So that is, we are going to discuss about the HTML form. So how we can do this like this. So what we are going to do here is now these kind of different web forms, Lama, I'm pretty sure that you all have used in several situations or several locations. Now, whenever you all register into a specific application or website, web application, or whenever you try to, let's say, I think you all are using e-commerce applications. So whenever you all try to purchase something through those e-commerce applications, in most of the situations, or whenever you try to create a account in a specific application, definitely they will be giving you a interface with a web form to collect your data, right? So now we will see some basic information about the web forms, and then we'll try to create a sample simple web form, right? So if you think about the web forms, Lama, in a web form, you can find text boxes, or as you can find drop-down list, radio buttons, different types of content will be there. And along with that, less than tables also can be seen, right? Okay, I think Lama, earlier when you discussed how to include a list, no? So I will tell that also before we move forward, then you can easily understand that, no? So, okay. So I will include a list here. So if there are two types of lists we can use, Lama. One is a list where we have a order, specific order. For an example, if you want to, let's say, give a content like, let's say option one is this, two is this, likewise, then you can use a ordered list. So ordered list is denoted using OL tag. So there also you have to have the opening and closing tags. And to give the content within the ordered list or OL, you have to use a list item. So let's say, I will say first is A as the list item, right? And I will close the list item. And let's say the second list item is B for an example. And I will close it. For the timing, we'll use these two options only. So now, if I reload the page, you can see it's displaying the output of the ordered list 1 and 2. And the default value that we get is 1 and 2. We can change the value as well. Like that, if you want to display a specific, let's say, after this, let's say we are going to display a specific content where we use bullet points, right? So those are known as unordered list. UL tag is used to denote the unordered list. So again, in the unordered list also, you have the same option to give the content, that is list item, li opening tag, and then the list item over the li closing tag. So there you can give the content, let's say, we type, let's say, option 1, and then we'll use option 2 likewise. Right. So you can see the output of that is appearing like this, right? And again, the default one is this fill circle, Lamai. If you want to change that one, you have a specific option to do that. That is, you can simply use the type attribute here, right? You have to say what should be the type. So for the timing, I will say type is square, so that when you reload the page, you can see now the list is having, now the bullet points are given as fill squares. Likewise, you all can change the default type. The default one is just the fill circle, but you can change the default size, the default style, right? Okay. With that, we'll move to the remaining part number. So we have just discussed how to include different lists. First, we have included the ordered list and then the unordered list. Okay. So now, if you want to create a web form, you are using the different available attributes and the relevant elements. So the element that you have to use is a form element. And then you can use different attributes. Along with that, you have the method and then the action, right? So method means how we are going to collect the data. So there are two different methods that we can use. One is the get method, the other one is the uh, post method. So here I have passed the value here as get. Get means that is default one. Normally, if you compare this get and post, the get method, we'll discuss about those in detail. The more than the get method, post method is the secure version, right? Secure type is the post method. And action means whenever now forms, through the forms, we are going to gather some data. No? So once we gather those data, to which location we are going to pass those data, that is what we give under the action. So most of the time, the action will be a file. So here I have just given a random name for the file as controller PHP. But actually, I don't have any file called as controller PHP at the moment. But when we do the database part in the next week, Lamai, we'll see how we can actually pass a file name there. Right? So in between the opening and closing form tag, you have to create the form. So like I told you now, the form method is mainly telling how we are collecting the data, how the data is gathered. So those can be either get method or the post method, like I told you earlier. If it is the get method, that is the default method that we have to submit the data. But one problem that we have here is that whatever the value that you pass to any of the fields available, we can see those values in the address bar. You pass any value, all those values will be appearing in the address bar, right? Okay. So, so one example is available here, Namai. So here for the name they have passed. Now for an example, let's say they may have a form like this, one location to pass the name. Okay. Then we'll say we have another location to pass the age, right? Like here. So for so in this scenario situation, they have passed someone as the name value and age as 35. And when they have pressed the submit button, right? Since they have used this get method, what has happened is in the address bar, we can see the value for the name, someone is passed. For the age, 35 is passed. Likewise, all the values that we pass to any field can be visible or can be seen in the address bar. So normally, Ramai, when you are dealing with the secure information, just like your passwords, any account information like credit card, debit card, those kind of information, it's not a best option to go along with the get method because anyone can see the value that you are passing to the field within the address bar. Therefore, for the secure information, in order to come up with a method to protect your data when you are dealing with sensitive information, you can use the post method, right? So we'll discuss about, we'll use all those, then we can see how we can actually do this. So now, Lamai, out of the attributes that we are using, so first attribute is method that we discuss. Now we are discussing about the action attribute. So method means how we collect the data. Action means once we collect those data, to which location we pass those data, right? So now we'll see that the meaning of that. So normally, like I told you, most of the time we will be passing a script or a file name. So what will happen here is all the values that the user has passed will be given or sent to this specific file within the action attribute, right? And this is how we can include the different content of this web form. We will include each one by one. So this is how we can include a submit button. So we'll see everything one by one. And here within this slide, you have the different varieties of the options that we can use. We can use text boxes, drop downs, or else let's say radio buttons, or else the different options like passwords and then let's say to give the telephone numbers, URLs, emails, likewise, different options are there. Now we'll see how we can do that. So once we are done with that part, we can move to the CSS part, right? First of all, we'll create a simple HTML form so that you can get a simple idea on how we can come up with the forms, right? So for that, I will create a new file. So then it will be more clear and it's more like easier for you all also to understand. So first we'll create this simple file and then we'll come up with the answer. Okay, so I will type a simple example. First, I include the HTML opening tag, right? And I will include the HTML closing tag also. Then the head tag, then closing head tag for the head section, and then the body tag opening tag for the body section, the closing tag. Okay. And then I will save this file. So I'm going to save this file to the same location. I will use file, then save as. Okay. Now I will say form example dot html. Now here within the location, I have a file call as, or icon call as form example. I will open that. Right? Still, we didn't create the form, but we are just trying to create the basic structure of the HTML page. Right? Now we'll move to the form. So if you want, Lama, you can add a title also. That's also possible. So if you want to add a title, you can just include title in the head section and then within the opening and closing tag, you can include the title. Let's say web form is the title and you can save the content. And again, like I told you earlier, the title content you can't see within the body of the content, but as the text on top of the tab, we can see that. Right? Now we will start the web form. So how we are going to do the web form? That is, we are going to use the form tag, opening tag, and then we'll use the closing tag. And within this form opening and closing tag, we can do the operations. So like I told you earlier, Lamai, we can give the relevant attributes. So here, if you use the get method, you can use the get method, or else if you use the form method, the post method, you can use the post method. So here we have discussed the differences between the get and the post method. So you can use any type as you want. So we can use any. For the time being, I will use, here they have used get method, so I will use post method. So I will say the method is post. And the action, at the moment, Lama, I don't have another PHP file, so I will say the action is test.php for the time being. When we do the PHP part, you can see how we are actually integrating existing file here. Right? And then, okay, first I will include a text box. So in order to include text box, you can use input and then the type you have to give as text. Right. And here, Lamai, we can, let's say I'm giving the user the option to tell this is the name and the user should type the name there, something like that. We'll just reload the page. So you can see something like this is appearing. Right. I will do a small change now. I will include the next text box. I will include BR tag. BR tag is used for the line break. Earlier we discussed. So after the BR tag, I will include a label, right? So as the label content, Lama, let's say I'm using age as the content for the timing, and I will close the label tag. Right. After that, I will include another text box. Now, if I reload the page, I can see this kind of output. If one line break is not enough, you can add another line break there. I see this kind of a content. And for any input field, now when you have multiple input fields, now both are text boxes, no? So what we can do is we can give a name or ID in order to identify this, right? That we will discuss when we do the next example. For the time being, we'll use this simple example because this is the very first example that we are doing with these forms, right? And I'll include a submit button also. So I will say input type is submit. Okay, now I will reload this page and I will show you something else in a little while. Okay. Now, if you want to get this submit button into another line, after this you can have the line break. So that the submit button will be moving to another line. Right? Now, if you want to, let's say I want to say print for an example as the content within the submit button, the text within the submit button. So if that is the case, you can use value. Value is the attribute that we can use to give a specific content. Let's say I want to say print. Now when you type that, you can see print is there as the text. Let's say print info or anything, any content you can give. You can see the content. Like that, Lamai, we can use radio buttons, drop down list, likewise. More content we can use, different types we can use here. That's possible. Now we have a different example for that. We'll discuss with the example. Some input fields or input types we'll discuss, not all. Right. So what again, Lamai, if you type your name now, for an example, if I type now for the name a value and for the age, let's say a value, what will happen is you can see the content. Right. Now for a password field, this is not possible for you to see the content or you can't display the content. So a scenario like password field, what you can do is for the input type, you can give the type as password. I'll reload this page. So now if I type anything here Lamai, for the password, you can see, you can't see that. It's appearing in a notation, but we can see what is the actual content that we type here, right? Okay, one question is there, that is, okay, so in HTML, am I now here, it is not a must to use the label. Without the label, you can see that the name and the password, I just typed it there. So it's just, when you type it, you can see the content. Otherwise, the next option that you have is, if you want, you can include it as a label. That's also possible. Still you will be getting the same kind of output. So there are different ways to do the same thing. No? So that's why I have used both types here so that you can get an idea, like you can do the same thing like this different approach also. Okay, Rama. Now, okay, I will do one more change here. Now I will show this, then I will tell what I'm going to do. Now, there, Lama, if you can see this output that I got, the content is just appearing within this um, body of the web page. No, so if I want to this kind of output, that means I just want to group the content together within a square like this. So how can we do that? We'll see now. So I want to group it. I want to add a caption here. Here in the given example, it says the register your interest. So likewise, whatever the caption, we will add it. So if you want to do that kind of a thing, what you need to do is after the form, you have to include another element, that is field set, right? In between the opening and closing form tag, you have to include the field set. Now we will just save the content and we will reload the page. Okay, I'm seeing the content like this, but the caption is missing here. Can you say the caption is missing? So that we can change that caption. So how can we change, or how can we add the caption? We have to just use legend. So as the legend, let's say, I will say use info for the timing. So now what will happen is, when you reload the page, you can see the caption use info is appearing like this, right? That's also possible to do it like that, right? Okay. After that, Lamai, now, okay, another thing I wanted to highlight. Now, can you see this relevant field set is appearing to the entire page? So no point, no. We have just small, like web form, but this is appearing to the entire page. So how can we do that, or how can we change that? We can use the width, right? So for the form, you can simply say we can add a width with the specific type or with the specific size, right? Okay, that part we'll do along with the CSS one, because with CSS we can do that using the style attribute. So we'll do that part with the CSS, but that's also possible to do that. And okay, so up to this point, check and let me know whether you have any questions, Raman. If any issues are there, you can ask, so that while you do, or while we do this content, we can clarify the issues, then we can move forward. Okay. Then if you are okay, then we'll move forward. So the next part we are going to start is the CSS part, right? Okay, before I move forward, let me know. In the next example, we are going to do the, like I told you, for the feed set or the form, we can change the width. So that we'll adjust in the next example using the style attribute. So now, okay, we'll do something like this. Now I will stop for a moment and I will invite my next co-lecturer, Miss Poorna, to give you all the basic information about the CSS part. Now we discussed about the HTML introduction and then the how we can come up with the web forms. No, so some information relevant to the CSS we'll do, and then we'll do some examples as well. So then again, at any time, if you have any issues, please let us know so that we can answer those questions. Right? Okay. So okay, Miss Poorna will start now. Then I will join again in a little while.
Okay, good afternoon, Ramai. Can you hear me? Ramai, can you hear me? Okay, Ramai, I'm Miss Poorna Panduwawala. I think Miss Jenny gave the introduction about me. So we are going to talk about the CSS. So the next part of today's session. So in this one, CSS. So CSS is in the long term we are calling it as the cascading style sheets. So we are normally used to decorate the format of the web page. So you know in the HTML we are making the content or how we are going to make our page. So then in the CSS we are going to decorate the page. So that's part we are doing by using the CSS. So you can see the difference between, so in the first one you can see it's only with the HTML, and in the second picture you can see it with the HTML and the CSS. So here you can see in the HTML we are having something like the skeleton, and in the HTML you can see a person here. So it's full of the everything of the person. Okay, so here you can see what is the difference between when we are having the HTML, when we are having the CSS and not having the CSS. So here you can see when we are making a web page, so first one is without CSS. I think sometimes you can see here we are putting some buttons also, and here you can see after putting the CSS, here we have the buttons with the background colors, and we are having the several colors for the fonts, and we are center this one. So you can see with the CSS we can decorate our web page and we can make the format of our web page. So then when we going to do the CSS, when we are going to write the CSS statement, so you can see here So here we are having a selector. So here in this part you can see there is a selector. So here I'm going to tell how we are going to write a CSS statement. So in this one we are having a selector. Then after that there is another part called declaration. So selector means, so in the HTML element, so here H1 is the heading one. So you learn about that one in the HTML. So here H1 is the element we are taking from the HTML. So here we are taking it as the selector. So here we are going to do some changes or some decorations for the. So you can see here we are taking the selector, so it's H1. So we are going to decorate the H1 or change the format of our heading 1. So here we are having declaration. So you can see we are going to change the color of our heading. So then we are going to change the color of our heading as the blue and the font size as the 12. So here the property or the thing that we are going to change, we call it as the property. So when you're going to change the color or the font size or the font type, so we are calling that one as the property. And then the thing that we're going to change. So if you have the color as the black, so you are going to change it as the blue. And you are having the size as the 16 or something, so you are going to change it as the 12. So we are calling them as the value. So here you can see when we going to write the property and the value, there is a colon between them. To separate the property and the value, we are putting a colon there. So when we need to finish our declaration, we are putting a semicolon. So when we are going to use more than one declaration, one or more declaration, we are using semicolon to separate them. So here am I. So when we going to write the CSS statements, there are three ways we can write the CSS statements. So they are inline, internal sheets and the external sheets. So we are going to talk about this in the upcoming slides. So first we are going to talk about the inline CSS. So in the inline CSS, so when we going to write the CSS inside our code, so we are writing it inside our HTML code. So we are going to use an attribute called style. So we are going to use an attribute called style. So So when we going for the notepad and when we going to type that one, so think we are having the HTML code, so you know how to start it. So we are having HTML and then we are having the closing tag there. So here in line 1, we are so then inside the HTML we are having the head. Then I'm going to the body part. So in the inline one, we are going to normally type it with the element. So here I'm going for a paragraph. So I'm having a paragraph here. So I'm going to have a paragraph. So I'm taking it as the So this is the paragraph I'm going to have. So when I'm going to put the CSS here, so I need to use an attribute called style. So I'm putting a style attribute here. Then I'm going to give the declaration here. What is the change I'm going to do here? So I'm going to change the color here. So I'm putting the colon and then I'm giving the color here as the red. So I'm going to save this file. I'm going to save it as the normal way. I'm going to save this one. So it's in here. So you can see my CSS file color is changed. So if we need to change the color here, so using the inline one, we are going to do it this way. So if you need to change the color of your font, so we are going to do it as we are putting an attribute called style. Then after that, we are going to give what is the thing we are going to change. So here I'm going to change the color. So then after that, so if I need to change another things here, so think I'm going to change the font type. So I'm going to change the font type of this one. So I'm giving font family as the Tahoma. So I'm saving this one. So here you can see it. So the font type is changed. So this way you can do the changes of the inline CSS. That is the main inline CSS means. So we are having the element here, the HTML element. So we are going to change it style or we are going to decorate it or the format of that paragraph we are going to change. We are going to do some changes there. So here we have put in style and we are telling we are going to change the color of that one and the font type of that one. So here we change it using the inline way. So did you understand it? Do you have any questions related this one for the inline one? Lamai, do you have any questions about that one? Did you understand about it? How we are going to put the inline CSS in the HTML? Did you understand it? Do you have any questions related to it? If you have any questions, you can ask from me. Okay. So then I'm going to move on for the So here the inline CSS. So here you can see there are some of the examples we are having. So I'm going to put them and we can see what is the output of these things. So here I'm going to put them for this one. So then you can see what are the output of this one. So here you can see in the heading one, we are going to change the color. And in the paragraph, there is another paragraph. So it's going to change it. And here I'm going to change the font size. So I'm going to change the font size. this way. So I'm going to save it and let's see what's happened there. Here you can see there are some changes in this thing. So we can do the changes using that way. So that is the inline CSS we are having there. So this is the example for that one. So here you can see in the HTML code, in the body, we are doing that changes. So we are using an attribute called style. So when you're going to change something, so when you need to change the things inline, so you need to select the element that you need to change, and then after that you need to put the style attribute. Then after that you are telling what are the things you are going to change. So here we are having the property and here we are having the value. So we are going to separate these two using a colon, and we are going to finish our declaration using a semicolon. So when we have one or more declarations, so we are using semicolon to separate them. So that is the inline CSS. So then after that, you can see we are having another way. So we are having three ways: inline CSS, internal CSS, and the external CSS. So here in the internal CSS, so we are going to write something inside our code. So we are going to write it in the heading part. In the heading, in the head, we are going to write it. And here also we are going to use the style. So it's not going to use as the attribute. So here we are going to use it as the element. So we are having an element called style. So we are putting that part in the head and we are going to write the internal CSS. So how we are going to do that one? So I'm going to this one. So I'm going to remove these things. So here when we going to put the internal CSS, we are going to put it in the head. So when we go to the head, then we need to have the style element. So here I am putting the style element. Then I'm going to do the changes that I need. So in that part, so you can see in this one, so in that part we are having three ways to insert the internal CSS. So normally we can put it like this way. So in the paragraph we are going to change the color of the paragraph. So here you can see that one. So when I'm going to put that one, so this way I'm going to change the color of the paragraph. So you can see my CSS file, the color of that paragraph is changed. So I only did the change for the paragraph, not for the heading. So this one, when we going to do the changes in the internal CSS, so this way we call it as the We are going to change this one using the element. So we are going to do this one as the by element way. So here you can see. So there are three ways. So we use selectors to access the content. So there are three selectors we are having. First one is by element, second one is by ID, and next one is by class. So the one we talk about, it's going under the by element one. So in this one you can see we change the paragraph one only. So then using that one, you can only change the one part that you need to change, or if you need to change all the things also you can change using this way. So the next part is this one is so we talk about the by element one. So here the example, another example for that one. So here we are having the example for the by ID one. So in the by ID, we are having a hash symbol here. So then we are having a para main. So we are giving a name for that selector. So it's going to be para main. So here I'm going to do that part. So I'm going to do it using by ID one. So I'm going to do, so I'm putting the hash. Then after that, I'm making it as the main. So then I'm going to change that color as the red, and I can change the font family also. So here I need to call this one the place that I need to do the changes. So here I need to change the paragraph. So I'm going to call that one using the ID equal. So in between the double quotation, I'm going to call it as the main. And for the heading one also, I'm going to call that one. So here you can see both are changed. So the color also changed and the font type also changed here. So until this part, do you have any questions? Ramai, did you understand it? Do you have any questions related to that one? So that is going under the by ID one. So the next part is going to be the by class. So using a class, for that one we are using a dot sign. So here we are going to do the same way. So inside the head part we are having the style. So here in this one I'm going to put it as the dot main, and here we are having the change, and here we have the changes we are going to do, and we can change the font size also. Then I'm going to call this one for the paragraph using the class. And for the heading also. Now you can see the change. So this paragraph and also the heading 1 have the same size. And the color also change and the font type also change. So here we are having the normal paragraph and normal heading 1 after this one. So you can see the changes between these two. So I used the by class one and I changed the font type and the font color and font size also. So you can see the changes between these two. So now we talk two ways that we are going to use the CSS. First one is inline CSS, then internal CSS. So there are three selectors. First one is by ID, by element, by ID and by class. So the next way is external CSS. So how we are going to use the external CSS? So the first one we use inline. So in the body part, in the body, we are the element that we need to change. So in that one, we are using the style attribute. We give the changes that we need to do or the decorations that we need to do. So in the internal CSS, there are three ways. So we have the style element. So we use it in the head. So we tell what are the changes we need to do or the decoration. So here we are having the external CSS. So what is the external CSS? External means we are making the CSS file as the separate file and we are calling that one or we are going to link this external CSS and the HTML file we are making. So here we are having .css extensions to save that external CSS file. So here you can see how we going to link that one. So we are using a link element here. So here we are having the reel. That means what way thing we are going to link here. It's going to be a style sheets and you can tell what is the type of that one. And here in the href, using this attribute, we are telling which file we are going to link this one. So it tells style.css. So this is the file we are going to link this one and we are giving the path of that file here. So now I am going to make that external CSS file using a new file. So I'm going to open a new one. So that one also I'm going to start the CSS file. So here I'm making that file. So I'm having a main and I'm going to change the font. So now I'm going to save this file. So I'm going to save this file in the same location. So you can see I went for the same location. So here, this is the location I save my HTML file. So you can see that one. So here you can see the file that I made. So then I'm going to save this one. So with the CSS extension, so using CSS. I'm going to save that one. So now I save this one. So in this HTML file, I'm going to link this one. So in the head, I'm going to link it. So I'm going to use link and I'm telling what web file I'm going to link for this one. And then I'm going to give the file that I'm going to link this one. So I'm going to link the and then I'm coming to here. So then I'm going to take the changes here. So here in this CSS file, so you can see I use the class one here. So I'm calling that one here, same way. So that are the changes I'm going to do. Okay, Namai, so you can see how to use the external CSS here. So here we are going to make that one as the separate file. So I make it as the external CSS. So then we are going to our HTML code and we are going to link it. So we are using what we think we are going to link this one. It's a style sheet and we are giving the path of the file we are going to use here. So I make two files in the same path, so I'm giving only the name of the file. So then here I'm going to the body and call the changes that we are going to do for this one. So that is how we are going to do the external CSS. So in the CSS we talk about what are the things we talk about here. So in the CSS it's a cascading style sheet. So then we talk about how to write the CSS statement. So we have the selector and the declaration. So in the declaration, we are having the property and the value. So we are going to separate them using a colon and we are going to finish our declaration using the semicolon. And then after that, there are three ways we are going to use the CSS in the HTML. One is inline, another one is internal sheets and the external sheets, external CSS sheets. So in the inline one, so we are going to write that one using the style attribute and we are going to give the declaration part. That means we are going to give the property and the value that we are going to change here or the decoration that we are going to do. So we did some examples related that one and here we are in the internal CSS. So we are going to write this one in the head and using the style element. So there are three ways, there are three selectors we are having here. First one is by element, second one is by ID and third one is the by class. So here you can see how we are going to use the by element one. So we are put in the style element in the head and inside that one we are going to do the changes. So here you can see in the A for the anchor one, that means here we are having a link there, so we are going to change the color of that link. So you can see the output here. So that is the by element one and in the style we are having the by ID, so we are using a hash symbol here, then we are giving the selector name. So we are having here main. So we are going to change the color of that one and we are calling that ID here. Then you can see first paragraph color is changed. And the next one is the by class. So we are having the class here. So we are using dot symbol and main font 1. So we are doing that changes. So you can see that changes here. So here for the main font 1, you can see it's in the blue color and main font 2 are in the red color. And then we are talk about the external CSS. So here we are making a separate file for the CSS and we are going to call it in the HTML code. So we are going to link that one using a link element, and we are telling what we think we are going to link there, and the name of the file and the path of the file we are going to link this one. So using the href we are going to give the path. So here you can see the example. So it's we are having a class one here, so we are going to call that one in the body part, and we are linking in the head. Now let's do an example here. So I'm going to have a new one. So save this one, and then here with the head. Yeah, Lamai, let's take the form that you made before. So in this one, field set. So we can change the size of this one. So we are going to use that attribute called style. And then I'm going to change the width of this one. So here you can see the size of the field set is changed. So in the beginning you can see in this web form, whole page has that field set. So in the new one you can see it's a small one. So we change the width of this one. So then for the next parts, so we have the legend, and then in the name part you can see it's an input type is a text. So if you need to do the changes, so this one is we are doing using the inline CSS. So in the head part also we can put the style and do the CSS. So in this one, I'm going to change I'm going to use the ID one using a by ID, so I can use it in the any place. So I'm using that one, so I'm going to change the color of the font. So these are the changes I'm going to do. So then I'm going to do the changes. So this is input type as the text. So I'm going to change this. So I can take this one as the label and I'm going to change that label. So you can see the name color is changed. And then I'm going for the button part. So we are having a button here. So input type is the submit and value and print info. So here we are having an external one here. So we can call that external file here also. So here I'm going to put the background color here also. So I'm going to change the background color. So I'm taking it as the yellow. And I'm going to save that one. And here you can see the form example. So we are having a button here. So you can see its input type and the value print info. The class. So I'm going to put the class here. So you can see we can change the button background and I change the color of the font and the size and the type. So all the things we can change. So I think you had an idea how we can change or how we can decorate or how we can make the format using the CSS. So you can do so many changes using the CSS. Sometimes you can put the background images also. So in this one, so in the body part, you can put the background color here. So I think So here I'm going to use the background color. This way we can change the background colors. You can see how the page color is changed. So like that way changes you can do here. So Lama, here we can put the drop down for this form. So I'm going to put that one after the age one. So I'm going to put the drop down here. So in that one, so we are going to use a label, or you can put it as the, so I'm going to take it as the, so then when we are going to put the drop down, so we need to put the select element. So using the select, so in using the drop down, we are going to select the thing. So here I'm putting select. So I'm giving the name for that one. So the attribute, so it's called as the location. And you can have the ID also here. So then I'm going to give the options that we are having to select. So here we are going to select the thing. So that means we are going to select the location. So now I'm going to give the options that we are having here. So here options. So I'm giving one as the Malambe. Um, I can give another one. So I can give it as the Gampaha. And then Candy. And we can have God. So then after giving the options, so we need to close the select element. So you can see in the option one also we are having the opening tag and the closing tag there. So then after that, I'm going to save this one. So when we come into here, so there you can see, so after this one, I'm going to give some line breaks. Now you can see it. So here we are having the Malambe, Kampa, Candy, and God. So you can select anything that you like. So that way we can put the drop down, and also you can put the radio buttons and also for the checkboxes also. So here we can put some radio buttons. So in this one, after close it one, and then we can give, so we can have the radio button. So we are going to have it as the label. Input, and we are taking the type as the radio. So you can give this one as the female. Here you can see the radio button. So you can select one button there. So you can give the values there. You can see the radio buttons also. So that are the things here we are having. Do you have any questions related to this one? Did you understand it?
Okay, Lamay. So along with that, we have completed the content that we were supposed to do today. That means we wanted to cover the HTML basic parts, and then we want to discuss the CSS part. So any questions that you have from the things that we have discussed? If you have any issues, you can ask. Okay, Lamai. So then we'll stop the session from this point, and then, like we said, we will do the next week session based on the JavaScript and PHP. So along with the PHP, like I told you, we will be doing the database part, database handling part, so that you all can see how we will be actually doing the content, right? That means mainly how we will be like handling the database part, so that by using a simple form, we will see how we can pass the parameters or the values to the database, and how we can retrieve them and how we can access them, right? Okay, so then with that, Lama, we'll stop the session. So thank you for attending.